a girl like her. Just my imagination running away with me. Just my imagination running away with me. So just my imagination running away with me. It's just my imagination running away with me. Love is so
Someone once told me that a true miracle is a shift in perspective. Alright, so I'm chewing this impossibly large piece of gum. It's like a whole pack of gum that I just shoved in my mouth for the flavor. Yeah, I'm done with that. Let me see something. Okay, I had to check the volume because I have the heater on. So I'm like, is it too loud? Yeah, I just came from watching a TED Talk. It's called Rethinking Infidelity, a talk for anyone who has ever loved. And the takeaway was that people cheat because they're looking for a new self. And so that got me to thinking about my quote. My phone isn't anywhere near. Wow, where's my purse? Okay, well, it's somewhere over there. Anyway, it's on my phone. I have it as my screensaver. It's this quote that talks about essentially validating yourself. You look within for answers before you look outwardly. Yeah. You look within for your needs before you look outwardly. And this just got me to thinking about a friendship that I recently I said goodbye to. The thing about me and friends has been, I'm a very sincere and authentic person, and so I have zero tolerance for superficiality. It just, I do believe it's because of my highly empathic nature that it just bothers me so much when because I don't think of people as, oh, it's nice to, have someone to talk to, just to have. I think of people as serving purposes, okay? So at first I was sad with how seasonal my friendships would be, yet I came to understand that those seasons were monumental experiences that grew me as a person, helped me in my overall evolution. So this friend, I met her, let's see, about a month before I left for Japan. It was at the end of April, and I left for Japan. What was it? June 12th. Yeah, that's when I headed out on my flight to San Diego. And then I started my training with the company on June 18th. Yes. And so I talked to her throughout my entire time when I was in Japan, and while she was a support group, not support group, but like a pillar of support, if you will, there was just a lot of chaos, a lot of chaotic energy that was very leech-like, very, very attached. And I started to really notice when like it just went through the roof. Once I was in Japan and we had our call through Facebook Messenger, I mean, you're in Japan, dude. Whoa, you're fucking in Japan. Like, the fact that I was in Japan just somehow, it was like, I could definitely see that. I mean, she was just through the roof. And then she wanted to come to Japan. And then she wanted to work as a teacher in Japan. And she's the type of person who would spew a whole bunch of shit out of the side of her head without really meaning any of it, and remembering very little of it. And that was something we had going on even before I arrived in Japan. Like, she told me drop by the house to spend some time. Like, after I had been there once before, she told me to come back by her and her boyfriend's place. And so I did. And then I called her. I'm like, hey, where are you? And she was like, oh my God, you're at the apartment? No, I thought you meant like the house they were headed out to a burn party that was quite far. And I mean, the time that I was friends with her, I always noticed this very disconnect in her thinking, and how she was just very pillar to post all over the place. Very little life organization. And I just said, okay, that's her quirk. I decided to accept that about her and leave it be. Yet by the time we got into talking while I was in Japan, this very kind of very leeching type of energy was just there. And I mean, I was like, man, what is this? Why does she seem so? And then a couple of conversations later, like as my time in Japan continued on, this was later on, she went into saying, wow, that's just like me. We're talking. And then she said, I hope you don't mind that I'm comparing my situation to yours. Like, somehow I was holding up a torch of light for her in her life, and hope around the corner. And so then when my time in Japan ended abruptly and I came back to the States, I mean, I told her, and then, wow, you would have thought that she was the one who had to leave Japan abruptly. Wow, oh my God, wow, oh wow. And I was just like, yeah, well, I mean, it was unexpected, but I mean, it was an incredible experience. And then she didn't believe that. She went into saying, wow, you're really keeping a positive outlook on such a situation. And I was like, goodness, okay, yeah. And then she went into telling me, because I was looking for someone. And so then she went into telling me, that was a big part of my going to Japan. She went into telling me that, oh yeah, it's probably not going to be for a whole nother 10 years. And it just reminded me of her quirk, like how she would say a lot of shit out of the left side of her head that, and I was like, wow, it would just be very sharp, negative things, or things that were very leechy and very attaching like things. And so I was just like, man. And I just was like, okay, I just left it again, a perspective from a friend, as I had been leaving her quirk, as I called it, as is. I just let it be. That was her perspective, which oftentimes was very strong and assumptive, assuming. She had no problem assuming about another person's situation. Somehow she just knew from her perspective, oh, I already medically know, and just putting these claims to people's situations that she knows what it is, and it's like, how can you assume that you know what someone's path is? That's a pretty strong statement to make. It's one thing to suggest, and it's another thing to speak as if you're them. Basically, you're them and you're experiencing their experience. So I continued on with my job search, got into UPS, then had to quit because of my physical state, the dehydration, everything, and then getting right back into another job. Well, the whole process, and then what happened with that. And so I just continued on. Yet while I was continuing on, there was this very heavy, chaotic energy, and it just really began to increase. And my intuition kept telling me it's her. The time for her being in my space had come to an end. It was time for me to end that friendship. And I'm one who's always been very tuned in to just letting people go. Because, I mean, my empathic nature it would really just, whew. And then as soon as I said goodbye and their energy was no longer in my space, just instant peace. My energies were realigned, okay? And so I'm like, wow, I was really perplexed at what the universe was telling me, my intuition, because despite her quirks, I saw her as a good friend. And we had a lot of similar experiences, and when we met, we were at a very similar place in life. And I was like, and then we had similar stories with our mothers, and I was just like, this was the friendship a friend like her is what I've always been looking for. And so I kept I'm like, oh, well, let me think more, let me do more introspective, more meditation. And it just kept going. And so I'm the type of person where if I'm going to have a talk like this, I'm definitely not going to do it via text. I would prefer to at least have a phone call. Well, first, every time I would have a conversation with her, the next phone conversation I had with her, I wound up forgetting about it. And we just talked. She gave me advice about my menstrual cup and how to get it out. And I was like, okay, And then I remembered after the phone conversation was over, I was like, oh, well, okay. I'll just, no need to rush, just take my time, and perhaps it's something we can work through, I can just talk to her and she would hear me out. And so, but then the energy, man, it was just so heavy. It was just, wow. And so I just said, okay, I just gotta do it. The universe is like, sure, no, you gotta do this. And so I really didn't want to say goodbye. I didn't. And finally one night, the night after, or the night before that very supernaturally thrown off job orientation, day of job orienting, I discovered the Selfish Babe app, and then it was just like, send her the text message. And mind you, first I tried to do a phone call because I was like decided, and so we had a phone call via Messenger, but the connection was not there. It was so strange. And we had talked on the phone via Wi-Fi. I didn't even have service either. It was just Wi-Fi when I was in Japan, and it was perfectly fine, Yeah, all of a sudden now, my internet connection, nothing wrong with it. Hers was fine. And it wasn't working. And then energetically, I could feel this very controlling energy from her, in the midst, like before the phone call and then after this phone call ended. And I came to realize that that energy was her own insecurities of needing people to validate her. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. So, the phone call didn't work with Messenger. So I was like, okay, so for some reason, I thought, okay, it's supposed to be longer. But then that night when it was just like, no, tell her through text message. I was like, wow, well, I guess I'm not meant to tell her via phone call. So I sent her the text message, and I can actually insert it in at the end or in the middle. You'll see. Okay, that's the initial text message that I sent her. And yeah, I was like, I gotta be honest. I gotta just tell her, straight up what's going on. And it's not so much a working through, it's a we need to say goodbye. And it could be a temporary goodbye, or it could be just a long-term goodbye. And what did she do? She just came back with it's not me, it's you. What did she say? She said, it's never, anytime you see something in someone else, it's never them, it's always you. It's never the people around you. It's something that you have to deal with or figure out within you. And I told her some things because I had went to an intuitive psychic reader when I was in Honolulu, and she told me I had a dark entity attached to me, and she told me how to clear it up, and I did clear it up. I did, actually. Shortly after. I wasted no time doing that. No, I didn't. And all in calmness, absolutely. She said, it's nothing you need to be afraid of. It's you decide what power it has over you. And so the more energy you give to it, the more mind you pay it, the more it will have you. So just simply don't give it any attention, don't pay it any mind. And you can do a cleansing ceremony to cleanse your energetic spaces, and intentionally, with intent, release it from your energetic space. And I did that, and I felt an instant, I felt it leave. And that was really refreshing. So that was something that she didn't know, this former friend. So guess what she came back and saying in her response as well? I do believe you have an entity attached to you, and I can get that taken care of for you. I do energy healing work, and that's the kind of work that I do. And then she went into excessively spreading this message of, it's not her, it's me. And I thought this was I'm like, wow. Well, yeah, in terms of, I see what my intuition was telling me. I see it, and I also saw why I did not need to deliver her the message via phone call, because that would have been more of a direct gateway of her transferring that toxic energy directly into my space. I mean, it was mind-blowing at how, because it's one thing if you don't agree. I mean, this is another person's experience with you. So this is their take on it, and they're not demanding anything of you. They're just saying, this is how my experience with you has gone thus far, and I need to end this experience now. I wish you all the best, nothing but love and light, and you come back and you feel the need to point fingers. It's like that saying, a kick dog will holler. If someone feels like they've been attacked, then they will scream out. They will scream out. So if there is no attack to you, then you won't, there will be no need to excessively place blame somewhere. In the initial message I sent her, I just said that her energy, the energy that she had, was toxic to me. And for that reason, our friendship has to come to an end. So whether or not she, agreed with that or not, there was no need to come back with this excessive, I'm telling you, very long messages. It's me, it's you, it's not me. For her to need to reiterate that message, it's just, wow. I'm very shocked at this. Yeah, I respect, you do what you feel you need to do for yourself. And maybe in the future we can get back together when you feel ready, or if this is just it, then, yada, yada, yada. That if it really struck me, her excessive need to clean her slate. It's not me. That was very egotistical. It was. And then she further went into, after I'm like, okay, well, let me explain. Let me just explain a little bit more as to the different things that I saw, that I'm just like, no, I don't want this kind of energy in my space. Then she came back and said that I was sick and I needed to get help. And I was just like, man. So now to make yourself feel more validated, you need to call somebody names, or like, pretty much, I suppose I would say, try to make them feel less than, to devalue their perspective, because their perspective is not a perspective you want to hear about yourself. Their perspective of you is not one that you like. So now you're going to share a perspective of them that you feel is I really do wonder. I do. Because if someone came to me and said that my energy was toxic to their space and they were going to need to go, and especially how I ended the message, I still think you're a very beautiful soul, and where you give love, it'll return back to you, as love is like a boomerang. I'm going to put the message in here. And with that kind of, it's just like, wow, okay, well, thank you for the best wishes. And it was just like, the message had no sort of animosity in it whatsoever. So her response, really, she was mad because I was leaving. She wanted me to change my mind and stay her friend. And so because she was not getting her way, she decided to come back with calling me sick and unwell and needing to get help. And then she went into saying Now you're actually doing me a favor. Oh, right. And then she said, I did energy healing on you, energy healing work on you. So if you're feeling better, you're welcome. And then you're doing me a favor walking out of my life. I don't need this. I think she said this shit or drama or toxicity anyway. And where I'm going with this is it takes me back to the talk of why people cheat. The takeaway of being they're looking for a different self, a new self. And this, through that looking for a new self in another relationship, yet a relationship that's secret, is validation. They're looking to be validated outside of themselves. When you have your own validation, your own approval, you don't need to excessively campaign it. You know, like for example, this former friend, it's you, it's not me. A kick dog will holler. You see what I'm saying? You won't, unless there's something that you're resisting looking at about yourself, you won't need to what's the word I'm looking for? Spew it out. Spew it out. You won't, as a matter of fact, give me just a minute. Or more than a minute. Okay, guys, I had to find my purse because I lost it. I'm like, where the hell did I put my purse? Because my phone is in there. So, here it goes. It's my screensaver, as you can see there. And there goes the message. And it says, looking inside when I am suffering, rather than spewing out with blame, shame, guilt, and anger. Not looking to others to complete me, fill me, love me, heal me, understand me, value me, hear me, know me. Recognizing it is all within me. All is within. Not trying to change the world, others, so I can be happy. Change me so I can be happy. That's the message. And I became very aware of this message through my other friendships. Yet through this friendship I had with this particular person, I came to realize how I had been in my other friendships. Because I was so needing of a validation and approval outside of myself from other people. I was so unvalidated within myself that I was looking for a type of love and valuing from my friends, that my friends were very superficial people. All of them, every single friend that I've had. I'm trying to remember one who, no. I mean, I met people who were authentic, yet we never really took off into being friends. Like, close. I have your number, we hang out, we do stuff together. Kind of friends. Oh, some spit came out of there. And so I was just, like with the friends I had in the past, I was always so doting, so giving. I handmade gifts because I'm a crafter. I like to make things. I handmade chokers, scarves, you name it. I gave my friends handmade gifts, and I just always wind up being a gift giver somehow. Yeah, yeah, I do. That's in my nature, and so yeah. So I could feel the energies of how she would latch onto people because we both had codependent relationships with our mothers. And so she wound up taking that framework for having a relationship and applying it to all of her other friendships, romantic relationships where there was this codependency going on, where one person screwed up, and so the other person needs to be screwed up as well to feed off of each other. They're both relying on each other for this validation. And in this circle of chaos, this revolving door of a cyclic chaos, this vicious cycle of just neither party ever really growing and truly healing, because the shit is never dealt with truly. It's just recycled. These band-aids are just slapped on the wounds, and it's like, oh, we feel better. We feel so much better now. Oh, yay. And then it's just recycled. Oh, I need another band-aid. I need another feel-good lifter. Oh, I feel so much better. Yeah, woo. And then just the chaos is recycled. The toxicity is recycled, and it's never truly dealt with. And that's what I noticed in her. Yet, with each of my friendships, every time I would say goodbye to a friend, the person that I came into the friendship as, I now had transformed into someone different. I now had grown. I now had evolved. And so now I could see the person that I had been and see that this is no longer who I am. So then I would say goodbye, because you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. So once you truly change, so does everything around you. You no longer talk to the same people you used to talk to. You no longer keep those energies in your space, because you manifest who you are. That's why relationships may naturally die out, or you may intentionally end them. And in my case, they just intentionally ended, while I did have some that just naturally died out as well. And these are all friendship, family type based relationships. I've never had a romantic relationship really. And so, yeah, and so that was basically what happened. I saw the neediness that I used to have in her, needing to cling to someone so closely, so deeply for that self-validation, and then being so afraid of having to say goodbye, of losing them. And in her case, she needed to control. She needed to control a lot. And that included the perspective of the other person. She needed to control just about everything. And when she couldn't, she would point fingers. She would point fingers to try to make the person feel less than, so that then they would come back and see things her way. When I asked her, okay, what are you wanting us to do? If you want us, she kept saying, when you want to have a real conversation. So I said, so what are you wanting to happen? And she said, I want us to see eye to eye. And that means share the same perspective. There was no agree to disagree option. There was no sort of middle ground meeting for her. It was either you meet me where I'm at, you come over to my side, or we're just gonna leave it as it is. And then she was gonna need to point the finger at me for a reason to make herself feel better, I suppose, so she wouldn't have to look in the mirror, so she wouldn't have to look at self. And that's essentially what I told her, is that all that love you have to give it to you first. The law of attraction, I didn't get to say this to her, and I wanted to, and just with the way things went, it was just so toxic. I actually had to block her. Yeah, I had to block her. So, with the way the law of attraction works is the more you pine after something, you wind up repelling it instead of attracting it. You've got to let things be. And that's something she had. She had a lot of fear. And that fear kept her from simply trusting herself, trusting the universe, and truly letting things be. She had to control a lot. And with that being said, let me think. Yeah, just spend time with you. If you ever find yourself looking to someone and, oh, they're not meeting my needs, they're not. Are you meeting your own needs? Because really, the relationship we have with ourselves is the relationship we have with everyone else. And so, a lot of people take that saying, anytime you see something, someone else, it's actually a reflection of you. They take that and they run with it and saying that, one, that doesn't really full on make sense. It depends on what you see in someone else. If it's something harmful, like it actually is harmful, like for me, I saw toxic energy and toxic, chaotic behavior. She was a very disorganized, emotionally chaotic individual. Very imbalanced. That was harmful, that was, and regardless of what she chose to do about it, I wasn't going to stay in the picture because it was affecting my energetic balance. That's why I chose to leave. Yet, let's say what you see in someone else is, why do you dress like that? Okay, why? No, is that really harmful? I mean, let's say they dress very, they're a minimalist. They prefer to not wear so many clothes. They prefer to wear minimal clothes, okay? That would hurt them if it was cold outside, because no, you need some warmth, you'll catch a cold like that. Yeah, if the weather's good for it, that's a matter of personal. That's a matter of personal, okay? That's not really anything harmful, Let's say someone is eating in a way that isn't so good for their health and they already have health problems and you want to help them in that way. Okay. Yet, with every piece of advice or help that we give, it should never be forced. Like with this friend, she did energy healing work on me without my permission. I thanked her. I said thank you because I did notice I was feeling better. In addition with my own practices, what I had been doing, I'm like, no, I don't give you permission to my energies anymore. So please stop doing that, don't do that anymore. And it was just, I'm like, no, that's no longer, you don't have the right to just do something, even if you think you're doing it for their good, that you should always have someone's approval or, like permission when it comes to something that is theirs, so it should never be forced, insisted upon, listen to a person's first response and go from there. So likewise, if you're the one responding, make sure what you're responding with is true, okay? You're not saying this and expecting them to play into some sort of mind game of, oh, she or he actually wants me to do the opposite, oh, they should know. No. We have mouths and we have words, we have languages to communicate with. So let's use our means of communication and let's communicate with each other effectively and efficiently, lovingly. There's this book, actually, it still exists, The Devil on the Cross by Ngugi Thiong'o. He's a prolific Kenyan author. And there's a phrase in there, talking is loving. Talking and listening is loving. That's how we communicate with each other, and that's how we manifest together, through communication. So, look within and really just start with self first And don't be afraid to be who you are, to communicate your needs and your boundaries. Not needs. Communicate who you are, and that's included in that is your boundary. So if you're like, no, I need to end this friendship, I need to say goodbye to this person, I need to stop this, do it. Even if the other person tries to make you feel like what you're doing is sick and wrong and you need help, when all you're doing is simply asserting who you are, saying this is who I am, and the kind of person that you are is not a representation of that. Your energies, it's not a good match. That's validate yourself in who you are. Yeah. And then there will be no need to put the burden of self-validation on someone else when that is yours. That's your responsibility. That's your birthright. I actually brought her souvenirs back from Japan. Don't know if I'm going to be able to give them to her. This is the shirt. Smiling is a healing energy. Smiling is a healing energy, and it has 3 stars. 3 is significant for all in numerology. And then these little, I think they're handmade trinket things. They're really pretty. I thought they suited her really well. But now they're on my keychain. I have 2 other friends that I met through her. Yeah. And so if they're still good, if they still want to be friends with me, I'm gonna contact them, because I got them souvenirs. I got them each a keychain with these geometric shapes that suited them. One's a star, one's like this cool little square thing. Yeah, so I want to give those to them, and if they wouldn't mind, they can relay the souvenirs I got for her to her. And even though things make me upset and mad, I choose to take that toxic energy, process it, and transmute it, and keep my vibrations high. Yeah, that's the best way. And so all of us empaths can unite and do that with all the toxic energy that we come in contact with. Transmute it into high vibrational energy and keep things high vibes. Low vibes are here, yet they don't have to stay. They don't have to remain as low vibes. Let's transmute them into high vibes. All right. And with that being said, that's simply it. I made a gum cigar.